Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome back to another special edition, Pleasant and Purposeful Torah, live with Rabbi Pinchas Levin. I so miss this fellow. Hey, he's been so busy. I got a little picture here I want to show you guys of what he's been up to lately. This is from Rosh Chodesh Iyar. How do you pronounce that, Rabbi?
Rosh Chodesh. Yeah, very good.
Rosh Chodesh. Now this is practicing safe social distancing. Here he is sharing at his congregation, Anshe Leibowitz, in Mequon, Wisconsin, with people practicing social distancing in the parking lot. You can see they're all spaced out, but they're there tuning in to hear from Rabbi Levin himself. It's always a joy that when we get an opportunity to hear from him, and it means so much to me. But tonight he's got a special topic, and he's going to talk about choosing a rabbi. And this is a very, very, very important point, okay? I think a lot of people need to hear it. I mean, when you're choosing a rabbi, especially as a B'nai Noach, you need to know what you're looking for. So, Rabbi Levin, you got the center stage. You're live. Your mic's hot. You got it. So good to see you and so good to be with you. I miss you when we don't broadcast, but you know what? It just makes it that much more sweeter when we do. So good to have you here tonight. You're on.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, thanks for having me. Continuing our Noahide conflict resolution. So we started this series with this similar topic of how to choose a group within Judaism. But this past week, I've been asked by a few different Nohaides, two different Nohaides, the same question about even within what we described in our first lesson, the mainstream Torah Judaism, with our tradition back to Sinai. So you're within that group, hopefully. Hopefully, it's difficult. Let's say you're within that group. The fact is, there's still so many different opinions out there, and this one's saying that one's saying that, and how do you choose? What are you supposed to do? It's a big difficulty. There's such confusion. So I was asked to clarify. I thought, instead of writing a whole letter about it, I'll try to say a lesson with you because I'm sure many people have this difficulty. And the truth is, it could be this is better one-on-one. What I'm going to do tonight is very dangerous. I'm actually trembling from it. I'm very scared. So a quick apology. I don't mean to insult any rabbis out there, and I ask forgiveness if I say anything insulting. I don't mean it that way. I'm just presenting how it seems to me, guidance of what Noahide should do. But I certainly have very high level of respect to every human being, certainly every rabbi. I don't mean anything putting people down. But we need to appreciate who people are. And, you can't just go to anybody who's charismatic and dynamic and he says what I want him to say, so I'll choose him. That's not the way to go. There has to be some guidance, some direction from our Torah about this most important topic. How do you choose a rabbi to follow? That's the goal tonight. I hope we'll have Hashem's help to succeed in this, to clarify it.
Well, I'm sure you've got what to share on the matter. Very important.
We've been doing this, I think it's almost 2 years since I started going into social media. I was in Israel over 30 years, totally cut off from the world. And here I came back, how things turned out with no student body. And I turned to the world, to social media to help. And I have quite a big following, as yourself, Dan. I have quite a few who are very devout students. They love my lessons and they talk to me. But quite a few people asked me a question. Here I'm going to say a lesson, tell people how to choose a rabbi. Who am I? And people have asked me, people who are devout students, like, Rabbi, why are you so not famous? I mean, you go to YouTube, you have all these other rabbis with thousands and thousands of views, and I get 30, 40, 100. Like, why am
You
I?
do hundreds of videos.
Well, but still, I don't have anything anywhere near what these other big rabbis have. And quite a few people have asked me this question. Why am I not so successful? Why? And I'm serious. I have the same question. I've asked Rabbi Singer about it. He said it's because I just started out. I mean, it's a couple of years already. What's taking so long? But I'd like to tell you what I think is, first of all, I have no backing. I think most people out there that are on social media, they have some knowledge about social media. They have some financial, some support, something. I'm just a guy on my own in my house with a laptop. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to teach. But also, I'm really, everyone's got their group today, and I don't really fit into most people's groups. What I am, it doesn't happen that you'll find the rabbi. Like, it's very, very rare. It's a very strange thing, and I want you to appreciate why. You see, people like me who have been studying all these years in Jerusalem in the yeshivas, they don't go to social media. In fact, we don't even have internet in the house, any of us. We're studying day and night. You can't imagine whatever you could picture of the best university with the greatest studies, depth of study. It's 1,000 times more. And we're so into all the intricate details in the Talmud with all the different commentaries and how to apply it. It's really, really deep and complicated. And somebody who's doing that for years doesn't just leave it and start talking on social media. It never happens. And it wasn't going to happen to me either. I was actually teaching in one of the most prestigious yeshivas, the Mir Yeshiva. I have many, many students teaching on the highest level, the depth of the Talmud, bringing it to practical Jewish law. And as Hashem made the world turn, I went through, like the book of Job, I went through all these cycles until I can't do that anymore. And for whatever reason, not going into the details, and here I am. Clearly, this is my new mission in life, is to share that, my banner, a pleasant and purposeful Torah, which I was teaching in the yeshivas, share that with the world, because that is misunderstood by the whole world, certainly in Judaism. People think of rituals and laws, and they're just not getting the depth and the beauty of it. So I think, what's the word? An enigma?
Enigma?
Enigma. I think that's the word. That's really, it doesn't happen. You're not going to find a rabbi like me. It's very, very strange. It's very rare. I think that's the answer. People who are looking for, let's say, different groups of Judaism. You have your Chabad, so you look for a Chabad rabbi. Or you're looking for Nohaides. They got the anti-missionaries, so they're with those groups. Everyone has their leaders that they're part of that group. I don't have a group. I'm just someone from in Israel or in any yeshiva. In any yeshiva, I could be a superstar. I'm with them. But to the outside world, I don't really fit in. So that's what makes me unique. And for mainstream, like, who is this guy? Why should we listen to him? Who is he affiliated with? And they won't get it. So that's just wanted to make a disclaimer what people think, like, who is this guy? Why should we listen? You should know that where I'm coming from is, ask anybody in the Jewish faith, where I'm coming from is the best of places. It's the highest level of depth of learning, and I'm trying to share that with the world. I don't mean to praise myself, I just want you to recognize that.
I recognized genius in you as soon as I met you, Rabbi, and I know you've done the years of study in Orthodox. Rabbi, you've taught in Jerusalem. I just, all I can say is the more than a year's worth of sessions that you and I have done together just for B'nai Noach, you have poured out your heart in a way that actually brings it alive for people, and it's unique because I know Hashem rests with you uniquely, as He does with each and every person, every the Jewish nation. But
Well, that
I
is
see
my
something
uniqueness.
special.
That is the special. That's my uniqueness. That's people you won't see regularly. It'll be very, very rare to see somebody with my background on social media. It doesn't happen. All my friends, like, what do you do? You're on a
With
computer.
Noahide,
What's a computer? What, you talk to people that aren't Jewish? Really? Like they have no clue. Well, what are you doing? But here I am, and I am pouring out my heart with pure love for every human being to the best of my ability. And I relate to this problem very well, what we're discussing tonight, of the confusion. There's so many different opinions, different groups, like this group of rabbis. So he says, this is what we should do. He says, that's what we should do. And I felt this when I'm in Wisconsin now, Mequon, Wisconsin. And even here, I tried to reach out to the community, and I was in shock. I went to other, I don't want to say names, but other groups of Torah observant Judaism, and they told me, one person flat, black on white, he said these words. I couldn't believe it. He said, we actually don't want you to speak in our synagogue, to teach Torah, because people will get a mixed message. Like, what's mixed message? It was all foreign to me. What does he mean? Torah's Torah. I want all rabbis come to my synagogue and speak. There's no mixed message. There's one message. But I'm starting to see his point that in the world there's so much confusion. And this I'll share with you. You'll understand it. I used to be very involved this past year in Tanakh talkers and exit plan. I was one of the rabbis answering questions, and I was loving it. I was really, really involved in that. And I realized that that which I'm not well known is not just in the world out there, it's also in other rabbis. And it's not my place to start arguing with this rabbi or that rabbi. And I see Nohaides are asking questions. I would answer the question, and another rabbi says a different answer. I say, no, I'm not going to. Personally, I would just, if it would be me, I would talk to him privately first. Like, why are you telling him that? I would say differently, because he's going to give mixed messages. But I certainly don't want to start giving people different messages. So if there's different rabbis coming from different places, I felt it wasn't my place to start rocking the boat, so to speak. It was really difficult for me to be saying differently than other rabbis. And I don't mean any disrespect. I know all the rabbis on these groups, and I love them all. I respect them for who they are. But I want to tell you how I look at it. I had stage 4 cancer like 5 years ago.
Yes.
That was the start of my big life change. So I remember when I was finished with the cancer, I could barely eat. I wanted to get back to my health. And I asked my oncologist, which I'm very close with all the people that helped me in the hospital. I love each one of them, the oncologists, the nurses, all the help, the radiation, all the people with the chemotherapy. I was first name basis with all of them, really friendly. But at the end of the day, the guidance that they told me how to take care of my health when leaving the hospital is really the opposite of what you should be telling a cancer patient. They know nothing about taking care of your health nutrition-wise. They were telling me to eat ice cream and cook. It doesn't matter. Just calories doesn't matter. And I learned the hard way that their training is for getting rid of the cancer. They burn it, they poison it, they destroy it. But how do you get back to your health? They don't have training in that. And I actually asked the oncologist, what do I do so that shouldn't come back, the cancer? And he said, there's only one thing to do. This is amazing because he's a secular doctor, which I love very much. I'm so appreciative how he helped me. But he says there's only one thing to do. You got to pray. I said, wow, really? There's nothing we could do to boost the immune system, to make ourselves strong and healthy. Nothing we could do. Just pray. Well, I found people guiding me nutrition-wise how to be a healthy person. that should prevent any illness from coming back, from around saprocine, from cancer to health. I don't need to go into that specific point now, but just as a parable, I had that same feeling when I'm in Exit Plan or Tanakh Talkers. These are people that are leaving Christianity, and the anti-missionaries, the counter-missionaries, all beautiful rabbis. I love each one dearly, but they're experts in radiation and in chemotherapy and in operations. They'll cut it and destroy it. What you're being told is lies, it's not true. Okay, very good. Now that we got rid of all the cancer, and William is wonderful, Tanakh talk, unbelievable, and he has to keep up his holy work because there's all the time people leaving Christianity. But at the end of the day, I actually don't know why people keep listening to the same things again and again. Once you got rid of the cancer, my friends, it's time to move on.
Right, rebuild.
It's time to leave the cancer ward. Maybe come back once in a while for a checkup. But really, you got to get on with your life and start living a healthy life. And with all due respect, Rabbi Singer said this himself, that's not what they do. That's not their training. Their training is the anti-missionary, and they're experts in that.
Frontline.
They're not nutritionists. They're not people that will guide you to the depth of the Torah of how to live. They're not. So they do have a tremendous amount of knowledge, as I'm sure any oncologist, any nurse has basic knowledge of anatomy and basic nutrition. They can guide you, but that's not their expertise. That's a point I'd like to make. That's not their expertise. So they could say basic guidelines, but I would strongly recommend any Noahide who's leaving Christianity with all these wonderful rabbis helping them, after they leave, let's find somebody who's an expert in these guidelines, not an expert in counter-missionary. Let me make a preface to this. It's really difficult what I'm saying now.
We got all the time in the world, Rabbi.
I'll ask you a question. This is exactly what I felt when these two people this week asked me how to choose a rabbi. I'll give you a parable. Dan, someone comes to you and says, Dan, I need a doctor. Who should I speak to? Well, what will your reaction be? What do you mean you need a doctor? What does that even mean? What is the problem exactly?
Practice.
Do you have a toothache? Do you have a psychological problem? What is wrong with you that you need a doctor? There's all kinds of doctors. Or someone says, I have a problem with the law. Well, could you recommend a good lawyer? Well, what is the problem? There's all kinds of lawyers.
Family,
there's criminal. Is it a business? What exactly do you need? I can't just recommend a lawyer. It depends what you're looking for. And it's exactly the same. Someone says, I need a rabbi. A rabbi for what? What exactly are you looking for guidance for? Now, people think of spiritual, it's like a rabbi's a rabbi. What's the difference? I'm here to tell you tonight, there's nothing further from the truth. Whatever you think about different kinds of specialists in medicine and in law, there's 1,000 times more than that in the different levels of Torah study. There's different categories of spiritual guidance. And although you might find like a Supreme Court judge, a total unbelievable, he knows all law inside out, could very well be. There are people like that. Do you think you're going to get him to deal with your little law issues? I don't think so. You just need a notary. You're not going to get a Supreme Court judge to help you with your notary problem. You'll get somebody else to do that. So there's some basic things that many lawyers could do, but there's some really difficult topics like a heart surgeon. So the oncologist shouldn't say, well, I know a little bit about the heart, I'll do heart surgery too. But that's not your training. You shouldn't be doing that. There's specialists for that. Or law or medicine. In Torah, it's so much more than that. Now, I happen to have very close relationships with what, in this parable, Supreme Court justices. I know great, great rabbis who actually, you could ask them anything about anything. They know it inside out. There are people like that, but they're not on the front lines. They're not, you can't open a telephone book and give them a call. How you doing? I have a question. They're people that you can't imagine. They're studying absolutely day and night, like 20 hours, they're deep in study, something, something I can't explain it. It's something you have to experience to be able to explain it. The depth of their study and the depth of their knowledge, it's unfathomable. I happen to know them well. I've been there, done that, not their level, but 100%. That concept. So just like you'll find in law, you might find a great doctor who pretty much could do everything. It's very rare, especially today. Someone told me today there's so many specialists. You could find, how did he say it? A specialist. He deals with the left ring finger. That's his specialty. Like, what kind of doctor? I do the left ring finger. It's just so silly. There's so much specialty. Well, whatever there is physically in medicine and law or whatever there may be in the world, that's just a parable. In Torah, it's so much more. And that's why it's important to know there's different categories of getting a rabbi. So I'm going to give basic guidelines for the categories and the rabbis to get. First of all, the first guideline, this is in our oral Torah, is based on a verse in Malachi. If you want to see the verse, it's in Malachi 2, verse 7. Ki sifsei kohen yishmuru das, v'torah yevakshu mipiu, ki malach Hashem tzvakosu. It says over here, if you want to learn from a rabbi, learn Torah from a rabbi, you should only learn from a rabbi who is like an angel. That's what it says. Our oral Torah expounds on this verse, that if the rabbi is in your eyes an angel, then you can learn from him. If he's not an angel, stay away. So,
can I read that in English, Rabbi?
Yeah, sure.
Malachi 2:7, it reads, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts.
Yeah, so the Hebrew word for messenger is a malach. That's really, every angel is a messenger of God. So this rabbi, this priest, is a messenger of God. He's like an angel. It's the same word, malach. It's an angel. An angel means a messenger. So our oral Torah says on this, if the rabbi is in your eyes like an angel, then you should learn from him. If not, not. What does that mean? Have you ever seen a rabbi who looks like an angel? Did you ever see an angel? What does it even mean he's an angel? So it's a good question, right? So the great commentators explain what it means by an angel, the definition of a human being. Every single human being, doesn't matter if you're Jewish, a Noahide, every single human being by definition is somebody who is a mahalach. He's going, he's growing, he's accomplishing, he's becoming greater. You don't just, this terminology, how people say, I am who I am. Who said that? Popeye or somebody? I am who I don't know. Whoever said it, what do you mean you are who you are? That's not true. You're created in this world. You're a human being. You should be growing. The same way a child grows and develops, you need to constantly grow and develop emotionally, spiritually, your entire life. You should be constantly growing. That's the definition of a human being. A malach, an angel, by definition, they don't grow. They are who they are. Gabriel is Gabriel. There's different angels with their purpose. Each one has his job that he needs to do, and that's what they do. The angel Raphael, he heals. That's what he does. He's the healer. He didn't change. He didn't become a greater angel, lesser angel. He is what he is. And that's the core definition, difference between a human being and an angel. So you want to find a rabbi. This is the important criteria number one. Any rabbi that you're learning from, make sure he has basic humility. That when you're receiving from him, you can't feel he's pushing an agenda. He's missionized. He's got his theory, his opinion, this is what he wants to sell. He's not really interested in me as a human being. He just has his way of speaking. So if that's the feeling you're getting, there's no personal connection. It's just him over there. He's like, he has to say his stuff because he worked on it. He's got a whole lesson to say, and it just pours it out. Okay, that means he's just growing himself. He's not stopping his growth to help you. A true educator that you should be searching from is, as it says in Proverbs, "Chanoich lenar al pi darkoi." You have to teach the lad according to his way, not your way. Find who you're talking to and speak to them their way. You speak to them according to what they need to hear for their personal growth. And that's number one. If you feel that this rabbi is just not getting you, he's not relating to you for who you are, then that's not the rabbi for you. That's a clear instruction from God. Our old Torah, that's what the verse is saying. God tells us, do not go to a rabbi that you think is just pushing his agenda. He has to care about you, your level, and help guide you. It's really what I tell people, if you have questions, talk to me privately so I can get to know who you are. I've done this with many people. What exactly are you looking for? And where are you in life? Well, what are your goals? And I could try to guide you of how to best grow according to who you are. That is the goal of I try to do this. I don't know if I look like an angel yet. I'm working on it. But I want to get one of those angel masks.
Like you said, we don't know.
But that is a tell. If you're talking to somebody, and I have this all the time, you can get in a discussion, and they're so invested in their own opinion, they're not even hearing what you're saying. If that's happening to you with the rabbi, then there's a problem. And you have to say, Rabbi, why do you not even hear what I'm saying? You keep on saying the same thing, and you're not relating to what I'm saying. You're not hearing me. You're not talking to me according to me. That's a problem. That means that's not the right rabbi for you. That's basic. You're not going to get guidance from somebody that's pushing their own agenda. They have to be taking care of you according to who you are. That's an angel. He's standing still while he's teaching. Hopefully, when he finishes teaching, he should go and grow by himself. He should be having his own growth and his own time. But when he's teaching you, his whole interest has to be how to help you grow. The truth is, this is a deep, dark secret, that he will grow even more by doing that. He will become more like an angel. That's also in our old Torah. He will grow even more by that humility and caring for others will help him grow even more than if he would be just pushing his agenda on his level. He has to relate to them. So that's rule number one for any rabbi. Now, rule number two, here's really the real question, what people want to know.
Deep breath, Rabbi.
This is also in the Talmud. It says a story. There was once a rabbi who was teaching a lesson to his students, and he said, before I tell you this teaching, I want you to know that I'm a little bit scared, because as soon as I say this, you're all going to walk out. And they looked at him with surprise. What could it be? And the teaching is that you should not, anyone who has only one rabbi will not be successful. You got to have more than one rabbi. And as soon as he said that, all the students left the room. They went to find another rabbi. The rabbi said you can't just have one rabbi. So I hope, did everyone just shut off?
No. But yeah, figure that out. I mean, one thing I can tell you, Rabbi Levin, in the decades I spent in Christianity, I hate to say this, when it came to, like you just mentioned, picking a different rabbi or having more than one rabbi, what I found when I was in Christianity is that they were key. Most pastors were key at keeping the congregation focused on them and staying within their congregation and theirs alone, not looking at outside ministries.
That's a problem. That's exactly my point. That's a problem. Any rabbi who says my way or the highway, it's only what I say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's clearly violating the guidance from our Torah. But let me just finish the story. So the Talmud asks on this, what do you mean? But we know you should only have one rabbi, like your pastor friend. You should only have one rabbi. So what is it? Are you supposed to have only one, or are you supposed to have, I think it says 3? It means you should have quite a few different rabbis. Is it 1 or 3? And the answer is, and please everyone take this as basic guidance, it depends. It depends what we're referring to. When it's a question of practicality, what should I do? Should I eat this or not? You can't have one say yes and one say not, so I'll eat half of it. I mean, what is that? You can't do both. It's one, anything that's one or the other, it's called halacha, what to do practically. It's only one or the other. So you have to have the, I would call it in our parable of medicine, you got to have your GP. You got to choose your, he's my main doctor. He's the main man, and him I'll go to. Hopefully, and not hopefully, it's imperative that this GP has humility. And if it's a question of doing something with your teeth, he'll tell you, I'm not a dentist, but I have a lot of good friends. I'm going to recommend one from my knowledge of the different doctors. I'm going to recommend for you a good podiatrist, a good dentist, a good surgeon, because he's none of those things. So I want you to, my main rabbi, who I've learned from for over 20 years, well, I was finally blessed to find a rabbi, as we'll talk about that soon, how you find the one. But after I found the one of the happiest days of my life, many, many times I would go to my Rabbi and ask him questions. Now, he knew the answer to he knows the answer to everything. But many times I would ask him a question and he would say, go ask this other rabbi. And I was taken aback. What do you mean? Don't you know the answer? And he would explain to me this, he does have an understanding. And, if he wouldn't have the humility he had, he would tell me what he thinks. He definitely has an opinion, but he's honest. He's not a specialist in that area. Go to this rabbi who has a greater knowledge of, I could tell you the different stories, really great stories. One was about sensitivity to other people's feelings. He told me, go to this rabbi. He's extremely righteous. He'll be more sensitive to other people's feelings. My Rebbe knew the law, but maybe there's some piety of feeling other people's feelings, which he doesn't get. So go to this specialist in that area. And I did. I went way out of my way, and I asked this other, and right away he told me the answer. I had this many times, and I've seen this by my Rebbe many times, and any true rabbi should be doing that, like any GP should do that. If your general practitioner says, you know what, don't go to the dentist, let me do it. I've never done it before, but how hard could it be? I was in medical school. I got myself a drill. I used it for the nails. Why can't I use it on your teeth? So
specialists evolve somewhat, and I mean dentists are so refined today. Rabbi, I find a lot of veins of speciality today are so far advanced in their specialization that a general practitioner doesn't even have knowledge of where they're at anymore. They understand a general practice, like if they learned it in school as a general practitioner, the specialities have taken off so far in that direction, like cancer doctors, brain doctors, heart doctors. They're specialists. They're so far ahead in their field.
They're really,
the general practitioner.
And every doctor should have that humility. He should feel good about who he is, his abilities. But at the end of the day, I care about my patient. It's not about me. It's about what's best for you. So I personally might think this, but it's best for you to go elsewhere, or it's best for you to do something else than the regular. So I'm going to guide you what's best for you. So that's why it's really anybody who you're receiving from, who's considered a authority for you, should be relating to you for who you are. That's that humility. It's not about him. It's about you. He's got to be like an angel. Your doctor, your lawyer. There should be somebody who's caring about what's for you. It's not for them. So that was the first law. The second law, what we're talking about, is different categories. So you need to choose a good GP, your main rabbi. And the other category, not halacha, it's called svara. Svara means theology, theory, understanding, and you can't be confined to one way of thinking. You should go out and hear other ways of thinking and go to your rabbi and challenge him. Ask, I heard from another rabbi like this. What do you say? It's a very good thing to challenge and try to hear different sides of the coin, different ways of thinking of it. And what we are told, I've told this to you many times, Dan, when in Judaism, in Torah arguments, an argument, there always has to be hearing the other side. And when we are taught this is the most important ingredient in Torah study, you will never succeed in coming to the truth until you get out of yourself and hear what the other person's saying. I strongly recommend, if you're ever having an argument, like on a debate team, try arguing the other side. Take out, I would like you to repeat what I just said. Say over my opinion, and then I'll say your opinion. And say it with a strong belief. Try to convince somebody else of what you think is wrong. Try to do that. It's only when you can really get into your friend's shoes and hear well what they're saying, then you could eventually come to the truth. But as long as people are stuck with their own way of thinking, they can't hear a different way, you'll never get to the truth. So when it comes to svara, theology, different ways of thinking, you can't just have one rabbi, he tells me this, I'm linear, I'm going to follow whatever he said, I'm not going to think anything else. No, think more. Go to other rabbis, hear what they say, and then talk about it with the one that you trust, your main rabbi. It's never just accepting whatever he says. There's a level of trust, but there's constantly questioning. I need to understand, and you should look for other rabbis for different ways of thinking. That's the basic guidelines. Now, the main question, which I'm sure everybody still has, is how do I choose the GP? How do I get that main rabbi who's going to guide me? And this, my friends, the answer, my friends,
blowing in the wind.
You got it. It's blowing in the wind. It really is. It's in the wind. The wind means, the Hebrew word for wind is ruach. That's spirituality. And the answer to all such questions of how do you find the right one, how do you find the right wife, how do you find the right job, how do you find the right rabbi, how do you get the right doctor? All these questions are everything are questions of Shidduchim. You know what a Shidduch is? Matchmaker, make me a match. A match.
Fiddler.
Yeah, fiddler on the roof. So you got every Jewish town has the matchmaker. Well, it's very nice to come up with suggestions for a Shidduch. But at the end of the day, a core Jewish belief throughout our oral Torah, throughout our history, is the actual match is in Scripture too. Many verses, the match itself comes directly from God. In fact, the highest level of divine providence you'll ever see in your life is in the category of matchmaking, to help you find the right spouse, to find the right job, the right community, everything. Hashem tailor-made what's best for you. To find the right one is called a match. Now, how do you do that? So I'm going to tell you the guidelines. The guidelines take it from me. Here I am, one of the most eligible bachelors. I think I'm on the top 10 rabbis, eligible rabbis. I think so. So the basic guidelines for finding a shidduch, I actually have a lesson series on this. Pleasant and purposeful dating. How do you find the shidduch? And it's not just dating. How do you find the job? How do you find the rabbi? It's a shidduch. You know, when I finally found my rabbi, it was like the greatest. Maybe getting married was greater. Maybe having a child. I don't know. But it was a really great joy in my life when I found my rabbi. I was searching for years. Somebody that explained the right way to study and to practice. Wow. So the answer is, you ready? It's like crossing the Red Sea. That's what it says. Kasha zivugan lisa kukriyas yamsuf. To get your livelihood, to get your spouse, to get your rabbi, all these shidduchim is the same category as the divine providence you need for the miracle of splitting the sea in half that we can cross on dry land. What does that mean? It says it's difficult for Hashem. It's difficult. Those words, when you hear those words, they should go out of your mind. It's difficult for Hashem. What does that mean? How can anything be difficult for Hashem? He created the world. There's no difference if it's split or not split. How can there's no difficult. Those are the words. It's difficult for us as splitting the sea. So this is the explanation. What it means difficult. This is our great commentaries explain as follows. The difficulty means that we need a lot of prayer. Now, what does prayer mean? What is the definition of prayer? People think that you have to pray and pray. Oh, God, you don't answer my prayers. I prayed again and again, and you just don't answer me. And I'm going to keep on trying, and I'm going to cry. Eventually, you'll answer me. And they think of it as like this really stubborn grandfather, I don't know, in the sky. If you ask enough times and get on his nerves, finally he'll say, okay, take it already. It's not like that. You see, Dan, anything that we're missing in our life, obviously, it's because it's not good for us.
That's so
There's a problem. There's a reason why we're not having it. It would be like a child who says to his father, could I please have the car? And he says, no. What do you mean, no? Why won't you give me the car? Well, first of all, you don't even know how to drive. I mean, so you gotta learn how to drive. Then you can come back and ask. Does it help to ask again and again? Give me the car? Obviously not. You have to learn how to drive first. So you have to work on yourself to learn. Now you come back, you learned how to drive. Could you give me the car? I learned how to drive. No, I can't give you the car because you're a drunkard. You're constantly drinking. You can't drive until I see that you're in control of your drinking problem. So it can be all different reasons. If God's answer is no, it's because there's something missing with you. It's absolutely impossible that a loving Father in heaven, we call Hashem Avinu Malkeinu. He is our Father, our King. You know what those two terminologies are? Our Father, our King. What are those two? A father means you love us. A loving father will give everything to his child, of course. And sometimes a loving father won't give to his child. You know why? He's just not capable. What could I do? I don't have. I want to buy you a house, I don't have. I can't do it. Well, God could do it. He's the King of the universe. All the money, all the possession, everything's his. He can do anything. So he's our Father, and he is the King. He wants to, and he can. So why isn't he? My goodness, why aren't you giving me the car already? The answer is only one answer. It's not good for you. Everything Hashem is doing is in the context of loving kindness to you. It's not good for you. If you want the car, obviously, you need to change something. You want to find the right shidduch? You can't get married yet. You got to work on your character. You're too selfish. You're too narcissistic. You're not caring enough. There's so many things you're going to have to work on before you can succeed in being with another. I'm talking to myself now. You have a lot of things to work on before you could be married. Or a person wants to find a rabbi. Well, let me tell you, from being a rabbi, if you really want to find first of all, you have to learn basic guidelines of respect. Now, this is something which, coming out of Christianity, I know from many devout Christians. I've spoken to many missionaries. I don't know if all Christians agree to anything, but I've heard from many missionaries that they view every person's the same. God spoke to Moses. He could speak to me too. I speak in tongues. I could talk to God. Jesus talks to me all the time. The Virgin Mary.
They have a verse.
Okay. So the problem is when you have that attitude that I'm as great as Moses. So then I've seen many ex-Christians have that little film on them, and they take that when they speak to rabbis, and they have this same, Rabbi, why aren't you giving the same respect to my opinion as yours? What makes you any better than me? And it's really, for a rabbi, it's really difficult, because I don't mean to say that I'm better than you, but it's like going to your doctor. Like, doctor, what do you think you're doing treating me with those blue pills? You should be giving me the white ones. Like, what are you talking about? You don't know anything about medicine. Now, today people do know. They have quite a bit of knowledge. And I'm sure they think they know better than their doctors. I know many people, they think they know better than their doctors. And it could very well be, you'll have a lawsuit, you'll represent yourself. I get it. You think you know better than everybody. But if you really want to find the rabbi, so there's a lot of self-work to do until Hashem will bring you that shidduch. You have to work on your character. So you'll keep on searching. I searched. It took me, say, 4 years in yeshiva. One rabbi, each one I received tremendously from him. But until I could say, this is the one, this is the rabbi, that took 4 years. And he's the one till today. I'm not interested. He's the one. The truth is, I'll tell you, it's basic guidelines in Judaism. You must always have a rabbi. I knew a great Torah scholar in his 80s, and he had a rabbi. When his rabbi passed away, he chose a different rabbi, someone younger than him. But you can't be without somebody that you go, to hold you in check, to make sure you're not making mistakes. Everyone knows in my congregation, they all know I'm accountable. If I misstep, they give one call to my rabbi, and I'm accountable to somebody. I don't just do what I want. I'm under control. I'm under, I don't just, I have to answer to somebody.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. And my Rabbi has a Rabbi also. We had it once. I remember once when we first started our group. So we asked him, can you be the head of our group studying in yeshiva? And he said, no. We just called his Rebbe. We said, and his Rebbe called and said, you have to do it. Okay, so he did it. That's how it works in Judaism. None of us are full of ourselves. I certainly apologize to anybody. I know I do give this impression sometime when I speak with this air of I have clear knowledge about something. I don't mean to put down your knowledge in any way. I don't mean any insults. I'm just telling you this is very clear. There's no place to argue about what's explicit. And I'm talking with many years of studying. It's exactly like going to a doctor. Today is a very controversial topic. I started on Facebook today questioning vaccines. And any regular mainstream doctor today, you even bring up the word maybe there's something wrong with the vaccines. You split a gut. Whoa, you're trying to destroy mankind. How do you even question? Okay, but it is like that with certain basic tenets in Judaism that I don't mean to put down, but some things are just really clear from Judaism, and that I do ask forgiveness from you, Dan, from anybody else who I may have spoken to with an air of knowing more. But really, that's how the relationship should be. When you're coming to a rabbi, it should be a receiving kind of a relationship, and the rabbi should be talking with an authority, with a respectful authority. It actually says this, an incredible line in our oral Torah, Kavod Talmidcha, the honor of your student should be the same level as one of your peers. So we never look down, no, they're a student, you're a receiver, I don't care what you say. That should never be. And I apologize if I ever gave anyone that feeling. I know I have given some people that feeling that I don't care what.
And I know you'll have to do it again.
I don't mean to.
No, you'll have to. I'm sure it'll come up.
It does come up, and I think it's especially there are people that are more sensitive and has different ways of speaking. But a disclaimer: I never mean to put down what you're saying. Sometimes I just reiterate what I know to be true. But it's something I need to work on myself. Maybe it's something necessary for me to get remarried, is to be able to hear the other person, even another person that comes from another planet like Venus, to be able to hear a whole different way of thinking, a whole different way of speaking, to hear what they're really saying, because it sounds differently. So that's something that one really has to work on in any relationship. So in choosing a rabbi, that's the answer. How do you find the rabbi who will be your director? He will guide you in the basic learning and basic law. The answer to that is shidduch. You'd have to pray to Hashem for help. That's what Jacob, our forefather, said in Psalms 121. He said, I look to Hashem, where will I find my spouse? Where will I find my shidduch? I turn to God. Ezri me'im Hashem, my spouse will come from God. We have to pray to Hashem, help me find my shidduch, and work on yourself constantly to be more of a receptacle for the right rabbi to come along, for the right spouse, the right job, and it will come along as soon as you work on yourself. That's what it means. You need to pray more. To have the sea split, you have to pray more. What it means, you have to prayer. You know what God says to pray? He doesn't say in Scripture pray. I don't even know what the word pray means. Is that like what you catch in the kill? You pray? No, it's a different
P-R-E-Y.
What does pray mean? I don't even know what the word means, but I know what God says to pray. He says to do avodah shebalev, to work your heart. Our prayer is internal change. That's what we're doing with our prayers. We're changing our attitude, our feelings, our awareness. When you change your character, so then, of course, God will give you whatever's best for you according to who you are. As soon as you show that you could be a selfless, a humble, caring, so then of course you'll get the right spouse to share with. As soon as you show that you can accept from your rabbi the right way, you'll get the right rabbi for you. But there has a lot of internal work to do in that preparation. So keep on searching, talk to rabbis, and pray to God, and work on yourself, and it will come. You will get your shidduch, 100%. One last thing. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's just, I really would like, especially a lot of B'nai Noach, or if there's any that are new to even hear in B'nai Noach, please understand that from what I've been told, Rabbi, is that in Judaism, there are different levels of rabbis by a long shot.
Yes.
And, just because somebody gets thousands of views on social media, you could be approaching somebody, if you tried to reach out and talk to somebody and you're not getting an answer, you could be trying to reach out to somebody who actually oversees many, 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 many different things, and they just don't have time, or it doesn't get through, or it's not that you're not important.
That. I'm okay, Dan. Don't worry. I know.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. The people that are listening, if they're trying to reach out to a rabbi and trying to ask a question and they're not getting an answer, many rabbis just don't have time to even talk to non-Jewish people. Okay, they're so inundated with dealing with Jewish matters.
They're in their own. So that's really what I was saying before. It would be like one of us calling someone in the Supreme Court. It's so inappropriate that they're busy with what they're doing. They don't have time for your little notarization. They're not going to do that for you. You got to find somebody else. And I know that Noahaides have complained, even though I'd say the most outgoing and loving part of the Jewish people are Chabad. They're incredible what they've done in the whole world. And they even started this Noahide movement. We have to teach the Noahide laws. But when you go to many, not all, but many Noahide houses, you go to a Chabad house and they feel not welcome.
Who are you? No, you're not well. Well,
it's almost all Jewish shuls. I know that. But you should know it's not personal. It's because, as you said, they're dealing with their community.
A bulk. Yes.
It certainly shouldn't be personal. Some people it is. It's a problem. We all have our bad apples. It shouldn't be that way. But but most usually it's because they're so busy in their own. But I want to say one more thing. Besides for that, it's a really valid point. You'll have rabbis. The spectrum of who a Noahide has to choose from is limited. You're not going to normally get the Supreme Court judge. Again, I'm a rare case that I served in the Supreme Court. It's not normal. Usually you'll get people that are more down to earth. Um, but the other thing is, which many Nohaides have this problem, but there's so many different kinds of Torah observant Jews, and this is really important to recognize. We're almost at the end of days. Soon Messiah is going to come. We'll have our redemption. We're going to go to the land of Israel. Where are you going to go, Dan? Which part of Israel are you going to? There's 12 tribes, and the land of Israel will be divided into the 12 tribes. All the converts, or all the Noahides, where are they going to go? And what we are taught, based on the verse in Ezekiel and Isaiah, the commentators explain that they will join one of the tribes. And these different tribes, these different 12 ways, it's not just happen to be 12 kids. It's exactly that way. The same way there's 12 months of the year, there are 12 ways that Hashem runs this world. In spirituality, for anyone who knows about the stars, it has to do with there's 12 different windows in the sky. There's 12 ways Hashem runs this world. We talk about this in our prayers, the windows. That's how Hashem, it's based on the scripture. Meitzis mina chalonos comes out through there's windows in the sky. There's 12 different, like the constellation, 12 different constellations. Am I right? There's 12 of them? There's 12 of something.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are exactly, but there are 12, like there's 12 tribes, and practically, I'm telling you what it says in Jewish law. There are many different ways of prayer, for example, or ways of studying. Those are these different ways, and you got to find the one that you're comfortable with. My father, of blessed memory, was a Baal Teshuva, very similar to a convert. He changed from secular to become a religious Jew. Which group did he choose? The group that he was comfortable with. You make a choice. And there are many to choose from. They're all valid. That's kind of why I left that group. I wasn't fitting in with the group. You have to find somebody that you're comfortable with. Anybody who's teaching Torah Judaism is valid. It's okay. I don't.
If it's Torah Judaism.
It's Torah Judaism. It has to be following our tradition. So there are 12 different ways in general. 12 different. You have your Sephard, you have Ashkenaz, you have Hasidish, you have different kinds of Hasidim. They're all good. They're all following in their way of all the guidance from the Torah. Anyone who says, well, times have changed, we do things differently, stay away. You could listen to some of their ideas. They're interesting. But at the end of the day, that's not the way to choose. We choose the way God told us. He said not to change it. God said there's no New Testament. We're not changing it. We have to adapt. We have to know how to apply it in our day and age. And we have our sages that teach us how. But there are different ways. And the answer to this question, which group to choose from, so that's where you're comfortable. You'll try out different groups, and you'll see one of them, that speaks to me. That's what usually it'll have to do with where you're from. You're from a certain country, a certain way of life. You'll find a group from that country which are similar to you, and you'll feel comfortable there. Now, within the group, to find the right rabbi, that's already a shidduch. That you'll need special. When we find the shidduch also in Judaism, it's not like you go to. In the secular world, you go to a bar and see if you could pick up a girl. It's not the way it works with a shidduch. It's from Hashem. Hashem makes the shidduch, but it's not that you just walk down the street and say, Hashem, strike me with lightning, let me bump into her. There's basic guidance, and that's what the matchmaker is in the Fiddler on the Roof. The purpose of the matchmaker is we use our intellect a little bit. What makes sense? Well, you come from this background, you're this background. How are you two going to manage together exactly? It doesn't work. If on paper, logically, it works, so then we can go into the possibility. I married off 2 daughters, each one, before they actually met, the boy and girl, before they met, both sides look into the other side. I actually met the boys first. I met many boys who went out with my daughters. I met them first. And I told my daughters exactly, this is the problem, and what could I say? I really called it before they did. Said, this is the one. Unless you see something wrong, this is the one. and there is that I'm not saying that 100%. If there was a problem, there's a problem. Then they meet and they go out, they see if it works. But there's some basic guidance. This is also in Scripture. God says a father marries off his daughters, marries off his children. So there's some divine assistance to a parent. So that's this guidance. You don't just blindly say, I'm going to try different rabbis. We'll type in rabbi to YouTube, see who pops up, and we'll try him. You have to go with some basic, what makes sense for you where you are, that this could be a possible rabbi for you. Those are the ones you try out and see if it fits, see if you're comfortable with the guidelines we said, if he has this humility, if he's relating to you. And I assure you, not me, God assures you, it's explicit, that if you honestly try, baalei, you're trying to purify, you're trying to find the rabbi, you will succeed. And anyone who says, I tried and I couldn't find, I don't believe you. You did not try hard enough. It's not possible. If you're really trying, you will find, guaranteed. Because God runs this world. He will help you. You're not trying enough. So there's guidelines how to try. I gave you basic parameters, and guaranteed you will succeed. And when you do, you'll be on top of the world. Unbelievable. It's like the world opened up. I'm getting it now. He relates to me. He's helping me grow according to who I am. And I've had many students like this. I've had many students who, once they get, wow, unbelievable. Like the same way I was with my Rabbi. And I assure you, you will have that feeling if you just apply yourself, your own change and your own searching, your own prayers, and you will find the right rabbi with Hashem's help.
With Hashem's help. And let's face it, that is so key, Rabbi. With Hashem's help. I don't think we can stress that point enough. I just know the agony. And I'm just going to share this because, I appreciate you so much. But the agony that I personally went through before I met Rabbi Goldberg. I'm not going to go into details about the agony, but the personal struggle and trial and turmoil, honestly seeking and searching, everything possible within Scripture, within my own personal intellect, within, the world today. And I found myself saying, this was me, okay? I looked closely at, the rabbis that are on social media. And being here in North America, I was familiar with Rabbi Skobak on social media. I was familiar with Rabbi Singer and a few others. And I saw them. And, I said to myself, I wasn't quite understanding or feeling that flow at the time with, and so I wanted to look to Israel. And I wanted to look to Jerusalem specifically because of the prophet's words surrounding a lot of detail there, especially during the days of Mashiach. And, when I came across the Noahide World Center, say, versus other Noahide groups, and there's plenty that are established, maybe even on larger scales or whatnot. The point of the matter is when I found Rabbi Goldberg and there was the connection, he took the time to listen, even though his native tongue is Hebrew. All right, he took the time to listen thoroughly, think about what I was really saying thoroughly, connect, and for me, he came back with the answer that was, that did away with all the angst and all the drama and brought peace and brought rest. And I said to myself, I can support what they're doing there. I can support what he's about. And more than that, I realize, the sad thing is those coming out of Christianity are used to going to a church every week and sometimes 5 and 6 days a week. They're in that church. It's a kind of a community kind of thing too, somewhat. But they're always there, looking to get an ear in with the pastor's voice. And the point of the matter is they're used to having almost like, I don't want to say this, but it's like, a bird chirping for a worm. And when they come out of that, and they bask in the light of Torah and the truth of Hashem's word and what he has done with the Jewish people and preserving them for these thousands of years, and it starts to shine on them, it's very, very hard to not have that and to try to replace that. And I think you talked about that getting on you. But one thing to the B'nai Noach's credit is they're standing on their feet a little bit more and saying, okay, I'm now no longer that. I am, this, and I don't have it all figured out, but I am trying to get it, and I'm not afraid to ask a rabbi. And I think what you've said tonight really would open the hearts of people to maybe reach out, and don't be afraid to reach out. But if you're overreaching, like I remember, I did before you and I really went live over a year ago. I did a series with Rabbi Baruch Gardner and out of Jerusalem, and he's originally from Baltimore, a wonderful man. But when I first met him, boom, I really felt. I looked and talked. I really felt I was out of my league, And I said that. Those were some of the first words I ever said to him. I says, "I may have overstepped my boundaries, sir." And he gave me the eyes wide open look. And he humbly began to talk. And you know what? He's turned out to be, he's a powerful Kabbalist. He's more than that. He's a wonderful, gentle scholar. He's got his own organization and group. He's so looking at, but he heard my heart, and he saw my humility when I was, and he legitimately has become so dear. And when I do hear even the short segments he shares, it's precious. It's precious. When I don't see you for a month, to me, seeing you tonight's precious. It's precious. What you share is precious. And I just would hope that the Nohaides would be able to find that connection, but also not be so juvenile that you need that connection every day. You don't need to be bothering a rabbi who's got a whole congregation or maybe even more responsibility, where you need to knock on his door every 5 minutes with the drama that's going on in your day. But I must say, most people, B'nai Noach here in the West, that have come they're out of something for a reason. They don't want to be a part of that. And I just hope that they continue to grow. And Rabbi, they're only going to do that as rabbis like yourself do continue to share the Torah. Don't put yourself on such a rigorous pace so you burn yourself out, sir. Please don't do that, because like you closed out here in the end, you hit the nail so on the head. With Hashem's help, and we're all,
But it's a great point you're making. There are different levels, and I would also tell every Noahide, just because you did choose a rabbi and you learned a lot from him doesn't mean the rabbi himself should tell you, you've learned so much. I'd like you to go, you've graduated. I'm going to send you to some other rabbi, a higher level, which I've had that experience too with my teachers. They said, okay, you've had enough from me. I want you to go to this school and learn from a greater rabbi. And that's something that it's part of the humility. It is, but it's many people who don't have that humility won't say that. You're mine for life. And it's really an egotistical thing. If the rabbi has the right humility, he'll tell you if and when you should be moving on to a higher level. As you mentioned, you had a rabbi who was above your level. Well, hopefully you should grow, and then you could go to that level, to that rabbi.
Well, one day at a time. All I can say is I'm thankful more and more each and every day for the Torah I do get to hear and actually hear. And, my days have been caught up the last, I'm going to say 6 weeks. I'm not getting to study as much as I maybe had been. But I'm also more and more involved with my community, and I see maybe doors opening up where maybe I can set something up for B'nai Noach in this region. But one day at a time. I'm not just trying to move as Hashem would, and unless it's got His help or His signature on the matter, I don't want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of what Hashem wants and nothing else. And
everything is with His help, 100%.
Well, Rabbi, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And I'm not sure when we'll be broadcasting together next, but I just want you to know how much I appreciate each and every opportunity. So until that next time, folks, we'll post it in advance. We'll make sure you get notice on social media. Don't be afraid to check out Rabbi Levin's website, TorahTutor.com. You can always find him on Facebook. You can always find him on his YouTube page. He's got so much to share. and more than that, he does it with his own unique speciality, and I appreciate him. So, folks, till next time, have a wonderful, wonderful evening.